Let's go down Jerome's. So the Minnesota Vikings potentially could be looking for the replacement for Kirk Jerome Ezekiel Cousins this offseason. And very minuscule chance to trade Kirk before the trade deadline. It's possible that he leaves in free agency next offseason. It's possible that they extend him. And the Vikings could still draft a quarterback even if Kirk Cousins is still in the fold. But take a look forward. I mean, this is going to be a damn good quarterback draft. I understand up at the top there's Caleb Williams, who... We'll get to it. And your Drake Maye is a baller. Michael Penix Jr. is shooting up draft boards. I think that he is probably going to win the Heisman this year, which is great. And the Vikings, whether they draft 1 or 32, either way, that there's going to be several quality options, either in the first round or day 2, that potentially could be groomed as a successor or the guy in 2024. And just going through, again, we're going to expand this, and also we'll add names to the list. Like, I mean, Cam Ward is a bad dude, man. But just the 3 games that we watched intently on Saturday, Caleb Williams had a really tough day. Now, Kwesi adofo-mensah was reportedly in South Bend scouting Caleb Williams as well as other members of USC Notre Dame. So first off, Caleb Williams, the Notre Dame nose tackle, and we'll go from there. But also, everyone's freaking out. Oh, Kwesi's scouting Caleb Williams. He's probably scouting Sam Hartman too. But it was a no good, very bad day for USC. And I've said, like, even as a quasi USC fan, they got their asses kicked. And the offensive line is bad. The defense is absolutely atrocious since they lost Mekhi Blackman. And Notre Dame just bullied them. And this was USC's first big test. I mean, when USC struggled against Colorado, they allowed Colorado back in the game, but also they were struggling mightily against lowly Arizona. Like, this is not a national championship caliber team, and frankly, I think Caleb Williams is getting the brunt of the punishment, and he was just straight up bad. He was straight up bad, especially in the first half. 3 interceptions, 23 of 37 for $199, and even in garbage time catch-up mode, like, USC was so helter-skelter. They could not move the ball against the Irish defense, and it was just a really rough day. And you know, the whole thing is, like, Notre Dame, even though they came into the game with 2 losses, I mean, they saw this as their Super Bowl, their national championship, where they're, I was going to say on national TV, except it was on Peacock. But it was their chance to tee off and really make a name for themselves against the presumptive number 1 overall pick, and they did just that. And Caleb Williams had himself a rough day. Maybe he's just trying to sort of groove his draft position to the Vikings at 32. Who knows, man? But I ain't worried about it. I mean, Mahomes has off days too. Brady had off days, and Caleb Williams. I mean, once Caleb Williams gets himself a supporting cast, he'll be good again. Because also he lost Jordan Addison on offense. The other jabroni, so Drake Maye. Not gonna lie, like, so Caleb Williams is Houdini, and all the hyperbole I actually believe, and the hype I actually believe. I think that he has a chance to be a generational quarterback. Or could he bust? Sure. Do I think he will? Probably not. But Drake Maye is a stud, man. And could there be a universe where after all of the draft season is done, after the combine and the pro days and the interviews, could it be a spot where the team up at 1, whether the team that ends up with the worst record or the team that trades up there, takes Drake Maye over Caleb Williams? I don't think it's insane. I don't, because, you know, Caleb Williams, 6'1", 215. I mean, Drake Maye is huge, and he's a tank. He's 6'4", he's 220, he's built stout, he can move, he's got a great arm, throws great outside the numbers, and I understand, like, it's sort of lazy comparing him straight up to Justin Herbert, except that's who he is. Like, he stands tall in the pocket, he's a non-charismatic leader sort of deal, and he does have an NFL arm that can make all the throws, and North Carolina's rolling, man. Like, they're doing really damn good. The 41-31 final score is not indicative of how one-sided this game was. Miami had no answers, and Drake Maye was a huge part of that. 17 of 33, 273, 4 touchdowns, and also just a stone cold-blooded connection on 3rd and 20, hitting his receiver on the post, taking in for a touchdown. It was just a absolute balls throw, man. And you know what's insane? Like, Miami's defense is good. Like, the U's defense is actually really damn good. And yes, Carolina was at home in Chapel Hill, but you're still facing a tough defense. And Maye took a couple shots in this game, but I'm really impressed. I was impressed with him last year, but also, I mean, just watching him up close in a handful of games, especially the way that he just carved up the Gophers, which I don't know, J.J. McCarthy did too. But maybe the Gophers are just a catalyst for quarterbacks to go day one, day two. But Drake May's a dude, man. And speaking of dudes, so it was a showdown between Michael Penix Jr. of Washington and Bo Nix of Oregon. And again, Bo Nix had himself a great game, but at the end, Washington came out on top. Oregon misses the field goal at the end, and Penix, man, I love Michael Penix. And also, yeah, people are going to dig him for the interception. His receiver fell down. Like, the ball was going to be on the money. His receiver fell down, and the cornerback just sort of whatever. But 22-37, 302, 4 touchdowns, and he just made some balls throw, man. I mean, Huskies might be back. And with USC getting boat race today, I think that the Pac-12 may be wide open, and Washington may be back in that conversation. And Penix, frankly, I think that Penix should and could be a top 10 pick. I know that there's a lot of mock drafts right now that have him outside the first round. I think that's very unlikely. And I do think that Penix will win the Heisman. I think that he does have the clearest path, and he's balling out. And I'm really impressed. Like, going back a couple years, like, I really liked Michael Penix Jr. when he was at Indiana. Obviously didn't have the talent around him. And also he tore his ACL there. So he's going like the super senior route, but Michael Penix is a dog, man. I love him. He makes some big time throws, and like even though he's left-handed, I don't think that's an issue. I mean, look at Tua, but I mean, I like him a lot, and that's the whole thing too. Like, this is not a one quarterback class. This is not a if you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby draft. No, there are a lot of good quarterbacks, and we didn't even talk about all of these. Oh, it was also reported that Viking scouts were at the North Carolina game. Also wouldn't shock me if they were at Oregon, Washington too. Right. So, I mean, again, you don't necessarily have to end up at one. And tonight, Saturday was a good show. It's like, hey, Caleb Williams can still struggle. Like, if things are perfect, he could still struggle. I mean, look at Justin Fields and throughout most of the season. So, it doesn't matter where you draft where you draft, and no matter where you want to find a quarterback, this is the class to do it. Like, you could take Caleb Williams at 1. You could take Drake Maye at 2. You could take Michael Penix at 10. You could take Bo Nix in the teens. You could take J.J. McCarthy at the back end of the first round, or Ewers, or Daniels, or Travis, or Shedeur Sanders if he declares. Or, I mean, you could go with Sam Hartman in round 3. I mean, there's so many damn good quarterbacks in this class that it really makes it think. And again, I don't even have Cam Ward in this infographic because this is a little bit old. There you go. But either way, pretty fired up, and it is fun watching college football, betting the over-unders, as well as just taking a look at who could and should be the future franchise quarterback of the Vikings. But that's it. Vikings quarterback of the future franchise tracker. Close enough. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.